Yo, yo, yo. What's up? What's up, everybody? Oof, what's going on? What's up? It's a groove a lot. What's up? Yo, yo, yo. How you doing, bro? Okay, I think I'm all caught up. Oh boy. One more second. One sec. Okay. Oh my god, some of the tweets are just hilarious. Just hilarious. Tombstone! Play some WoW. Oh. Oh shit. No, not that. Yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Oh, just everybody tweeting about the reveal. It's pretty funny. I just read one from Karn. I play this game for a living, and I was a bit overwhelmed by how much stuff was in there. I had to go review everything again to make sure I hadn't missed too much. Kind of insane patch. That explains why there was no time for duelists and swords. All is forgiven. No riots this time. Oh my god. That's your favorite game of all time? I can see why. I can see why, Tombstone. I wish I could play WoW live. That would bring me joy. And create content on it, but it's crickets when I do, so I got to think of the long term here. But I can see why it's your favorite game, bro. I can see why. Anyway, boys, welcome. Whew. Let's just say it's been a crazy 24 hours since last night. So we watched the reveal, obviously. And let's just say not much sleep, a lot of rewatching, a lot of cutting video, a lot of editing my video, a lot of trying to put it all together and get the video out, which man, oh man, took me forever. And I haven't had a chance to go look at the comments or whatever, so I'm sure I missed some stuff, but holy crap, how to encompass all that in one video and it not be like an hour was a real struggle. I don't understand people are mad for not getting duelists, the same people crying why endgame changes didn't. Yeah, like Karn said it perfectly. After seeing everything that they did, like, you got to prioritize. some really don't appreciate GGG's effort. I think there is a lot that do. It's just, you know, you know what they say, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. So everyone watches a train wreck. Everyone stops for a car crash. Nobody stops when everybody's driving okay. You know what I mean? I tried POE 2, but it's too hard for me. I died on about the 4th boss. The one that transforms into an animal. There's a lot of good bosses. All it is, Tombstone, is you just gotta... Your character wasn't ready, so you're probably not upgrading your gear. You're not looking at your defenses. You know, all stuff that can be fixed. It just takes patience. It is a difficult game, but you know, as long as you follow like the core principles, manage your defense, continue to, you know, upgrade and replace your gear. A good place, people don't know this, but a really good place to upgrade your stuff is are the NPCs in town. So every 4 or 5 levels, check the NPCs for weapon upgrades. Make sure you're grabbing everything, you know, selling it. So you're, you know, you're earning gold. That'll allow you to purchase stuff with the NPC. Like little things like that. And do yourself a favor before you get into a boss fight. Look it up online and see. Do they do a lot of cold damage? So therefore, look at your cold resistance. Do they do a lot of fire damage? Boost up your, you know, poison damage, right? You have 4 resistances, so just look at that. Fire, cold, lightning, poison. So that's another way you can kind of circumvent having issues with bosses. And then, you know, don't sprint into areas. Go slow. You were playing a ranger trying to follow a build guide. Ranger's a good class. Ranger's a good class. Like, shouldn't have had crazy, like, you know. Anyway, not without knowing exactly what's going on. I wouldn't give up so easy. But whatever, you know what? If you don't like it, you don't like it. Every game's not made for everybody. Christian. Hey, Sammy, I'm a bit disappointed with this patch. Expect at least 1 new class. I get it, Christian. But, you know, you got to temper expectations, right? To me, hands down, the most important thing was fixing the end game. That is the heartbeat of an ARPG. Without an end game, you're going to lose a lot of players and fast. So the fact that they prioritize that over everything, like literally everything goes around the end game. Yeah, we got 2 new ascendancies, but man, oh man, oh man, what they put in the end game is exactly what it needed. So I hear your disappointment. I understand it, but I see the rationale, what GGG did. Yeah, I was enjoying it. Well, if you were enjoying it, then you got to give it another try. And, you know, I highly recommend, you know, stopping by, not just here, but any Path of Exile 2 content creator. There's a lot of good ones out there. You know, maybe watch some videos on, you know, how to defense, offense. You know, I'm going to be doing the same thing. This is going to be the very first, well, no, it's going to be the second time that I'm going to start the character myself. I've done it before. But I kind of went back to following build guides. And of course, now they put a build guide mechanic in the game. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So I'm gonna be going through, like, I haven't played PoE 2 in a long time, so there's gonna be an, you know, it's like riding a horse. Yep, it'll all come back to me, but it's gonna be a nice learning curve for me too. And plus, I don't have a lot of experience making a build, so I'm definitely gonna hit a lot of walls. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes, but that's what I want to do. It's in short-term pain for long-term gain. That's why I want to do it. The patch was very good for new players and vets. Can't wait for 1.0. Moises, yes. I gotta say, a lot of the, you know, I didn't mention this in my video, but, you know, they added some obvious things. By the way, guys, so the plan tonight is I'm gonna watch a couple of videos. I'm gonna watch DM. He did a, I'm gonna do a role reversal. He usually watches my videos, and I've never reacted to one of his videos. DM, can't wait. I'm also, we're gonna watch a couple of videos. Destiny interviewed Jonathan, so we're gonna watch that. So we're gonna watch 2 or 3 videos, maybe more. I don't know if we're gonna have time to watch. Chris Wilson spoke to Jonathan Rogers about PoE 2, apparently. So I don't know if we're gonna have time for that video, because I got on late for a myriad of reasons. If you watched my video today, one of my studio lights, I have 2, one on each side. Literally, I went to go turn on the one on this side, on the left, and like, it was smoke burning. It just blew up on me. I was like, oh my God, I only had one light, and the lighting on my video today was horrible. But anyway, so I had to rush to get that. Thank you, thank you, Amazon, because, you know, supporting billionaires. But anyway, you can't knock the convenience. So I got a light finally, thank God. Well, where is it? I got 2 of them, these guys. So I used one of them. And I got a spare just in case the other one goes. So I was dealing with that. I was dealing, obviously, with, you know, trying to get the video out today. I wanted it to get out. I wanted to do it last night, have it all finished. But that didn't happen, and I don't want to tell you the wee hours of the morning, because I have a full-time job. So I had work in the morning. But anyway, so where was I? Sweet. Patch was very good for new. Oh yes, new players. Sorry, lost my train of thought. That's easy for me to do. So there were some obvious things. You make a very good point, Moises. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. I mispronounce a lot of things. But the obvious things, like, I think the quest line, what they've done to the end game, now that we have the end game quest lines, I think that is so new player friendly. There are many positives about the new quest lines, but that's one of them. They wanted it to make it easier for players to navigate through the campaign. And it's true, as someone who struggles to this day, do I go left? Do I go right? I actually started looking up like these speedrunner guides where they tell you, if you see this, it means this pattern. But it's so much to take in, right? So that's new player friendly, where we're going to see, you know, steps on the imprints of dead animals or whatever in the ground that'll lead us to the area we got to go. One area has a post sign, go there. There was another mechanic where a flock of something was going in the direction of where you needed to go. And they said there's many other things like that. So Those are things that are all new player friendly. The build guide in-game helper, that's new player friendly. Now there are already existing a lot of new player. POE 2 is more new player friendly compared to POE 1. POE 1 is you jump into the deep end and learn how to swim, and it's going to takes you a long time. So there's obvious things that they're doing, but to me, the non-obvious is like what I mentioned earlier, the quest lines in the end game. I think that's also going to be very good for new players. Now, when you get to the end game, like I said in my video today, it's like bowling with rails. We know exactly where everything is. There's going to be quest lines that are going to guide us and lead us through the quest, and they're going to take us to, all the mechanics. So these are all good things as far as I'm concerned. D4 progression and variety is pretty solid this expansion. Already unlocked tier 12 and finishing the season chores now. Nice, Christian. Yeah, D4 took a good step forward. I mentioned in my D4 video the other day that sorry, I got something in my tooth. I mentioned that there's now stuff to do in D4 as far as I'm concerned. So I imagine Diablo 4 when I have a lull and there's an update that I'll add it to my rotation. I think it'll occupy me for like a week at a time. And I just hope they continue to add and add and add and add. And who knows, maybe it'll be a mainstay in my rotation of games, right? So we'll see. It's not even new player friendly. It's friendly also for people like me. I give up endgame pretty fast every league because I have no real goal personally or direction. Yep. Great point, Sir Groovelot. I think Jonathan hit it right on the head when he said when people went to the end game, they didn't have any direction. We didn't tell them what to do, and they didn't even know when they were finished. Like, where's the finish line here? And when people have that, they got into the end game, they screwed around for a little bit, they're like, what? And they left early. You know what I mean? So without having those guardrails, and now we do, I think is going to be banger. So all good. I think it's going to reap a lot of rewards. And the fact that I know a lot of people might shun at the fact that 0.5 and 1.0 is going to be a 6th, 7th month leak. It was confirmed in the live reveal that 1.0 is going to happen in 2026. Everyone is saying they're going to announce it in November in ExileCon. It's going to happen in December, right? So if it is December, May 29th, so we got June, July, August, September, October, November, December, 7 months, 6 and change, right? Where there's going to be no new league. I totally support that. I know a lot of people might not because they want new leagues, but I don't want them focusing in on adding another league in between 0.5 and 1.0. I want them to do what they're planning on doing, and that is releasing 0.5 and fixing everything that needs to be fixed up until 1.0. Because the end game, like I said, it's the meat in the sandwich, it's the meat on the bone, it's why we play ARPGs. It's the heart of the game. It has to be solid. And I totally support them in their decision to want to focus on that. So anyway, okay. So we're gonna watch some videos. We're gonna watch DM. I haven't seen anybody's video on summary or how they feel, so I'm kind of interested to see. And I got mad respect for DM, and everybody knows DM, and he's been super nice to me vis-a-vis. He watches my videos, he reacts to them, and I don't watch all the reacts. I gotta say, I'm not a fan of watching someone else react to my videos. And the only reason why I know is because people come and tell me, hey, DM reacted to your video. Hey, DM reacted to your video. You know, that kind of thing. But I got mad respect for Darth Microtransaction. I started watching him back in the D4 days when he blew up. And he's a real great creator. Tells it like it is. He's not a drama queen. He's not a Giga Chad, or, you know what I mean? People that chase ambulances and content and this and that. He's true to the bone, at least as far as I can tell from what I can see. So I'm going to do a role reversal and react to his video. How do you like that, DM? I'm going to kind of mimic him. I watched one of his reacts. That's all I've ever done, is watched one of his reacts on my video. And he was, sorry, DM, mad respect, bro, mad respect. Yeah, so we're gonna watch this guy. And I'm really interested to see what he thinks. Good, bad, indifferent, and WTF just happened to Path of Exile 2. I only play SSF because market crashed so fast on POE 2, but now with 05, many friends will play too, so we only trade with ourselves. So that's nice. Yeah, Moises, the 04 market crash was worse than the 2008 market crash in North America. That was all because of the temple, and the temple is gone core, is gonna go core in 05, and no snaky snakes. So hopefully no market crashes for 05. Thank you for the follow, whoever that was. Thank you. Okay, DM, what you got, Copium? Hold on.
Well, they weren't kidding when they said that this reveal was going to be the largest update they've ever done as a company for Path of Exile as a whole, meaning the largest one for either Path of Exile 1 or Path of Exile 2. This reveal was longer than I expected, at a 1 hour, 20-minute runtime just for the pre-programmed reveal. I mean, twice as long as sort of the average reveal that...
Oh, hold on, guys. Sorry, DM.
We actually got, and they went through everything from quality of life additions to fundamental reworks of all of the League mechanics, to completely changing the Atlas tree and the League mechanic Atlas tree, as well as having a new League mechanic that's a new League mechanic made specifically for PoE 2, though there's some similarities to Estuary from PoE 1, I suppose you could say, but it's not like they brought an old League mechanic. They actually made something new entirely, changes to the in-game. Huge amount of crafting additions. I mean, more than even 0.3 with the Abyss League brought. Basically, every single League mechanic got additions. To crafting. I mean, we have the whole Genesis tree you just saw there. It's just one addition coming to the game, and that's just one of the League mechanics. But Delirium, Ritual, all of them got a fairly significant amount of content updates. I'm just going to give you the best of the best, the coolest bits that I have actually seen, as there's just too much to break down from this hour and 20-minute trailer that's just absolutely packed here. So let me give you some of the best highlights.
By the way, sorry to interrupt, DM. By the way, it was about an hour and 20, an hour and 30 live reveal. And then it was another hour or so or more of Q&A. So, man, I forgot. I actually counted. I did the math, but now I forgot. God damn it. I think it was 3 to 4 hours. Like, we literally spent the whole live stream last night with just the content reveal and the Q&A. So to DM's point, like, and Sir Groovalot makes a very valid point. A lot of people don't appreciate the amount of content that Grinding Gear Games does. This is one update, and you could literally argue that this is 3 or 4 updates in a lot of other games, like over, 3 to 4 seasons.
So there's new ascendancy classes coming to the game, and one of them is this one, the Asmeri Spirit, Spiritress, whatever the hell. It's the Huntress Asmeri Spirit Girl. Now, I'm normally not much of a Huntress enjoyer, I'll be honest, but I am 100% starting this shit because what this is first of all, you get basically companions, okay? Sort of like a hunter from WoW.
Yeah,
you can get like these companions
badass,
that go with
man.
you. We already know what companions are. They got added with spears. But you get the Asmeri version, so you get bear, stag, all of that. Now that's cool
Yeah, that's not why he's playing it. He's playing it because of this next one.
and all, but that's not really the reason that this class is fucking awesome and why people are talking about this. People are talking about this because
boss
of
one.
this next one up here, which allows you to actually tame not just normal companions, but will allow you to tame boss companions. I mean, we're talking literal bosses. So you can get the bosses from the campaign, even while you're playing through the campaign. You can be walking around with the monkey as your actual companion, which is just insane. You can have the chimera from the Chaos Trials. You can have the bird even, and they show that. So this is like the coolest thing. I mean, they reworked fucking everything about the game, but this is the coolest shit. You can literally have, that's not a boss he's fighting. That's his minion that he's summoning, okay? So you just absolutely badass awesome. Now this was cool, but the other ascendancy class here, the martial artist, looks
gonna be
pretty
popular,
badass
too.
as well. You actually can form like clones of yourself that cast socketed abilities and all that. Now they Ziggy D made a post on Reddit saying that they actually updated this where you can actually do this while moving now, though moving slowly. So you're not just standing in
Wow.
place, which is good because standing in place would be a bit of a bait in my opinion with this. But this looks fucking awesome too. There's more additions to this that look absolutely crazy. I mean, I'm not going to go through all of these, but there's this bonus, basically you fight unarmed and your gloves are also you get additional rune sockets, which is crazy. But your gloves get these crazy
get
bonus
5.
modifiers. Just for
5 additional
having gloves.
runes.
For
There we
instance,
go,
you
right
even
here.
actually you have to have it unarmed, but it obviously
1,
would be cool with hollow
2,
palm also to do
3,
sort of an unarmed build.
4,
But there's your runes here.
5.
And then look at this here. Gloves you
Crazy.
equip with this. While equipped, the prefix and suffixes are transformed into more powerful ones. And then actually, as you actually see the bonus of these gloves, it goes from just like flat damage to absolutely disgusting literal attacks gain bonus percentage damage. I mean, that is wild. Okay. So you can do a hollow palm with this. You can do any martial weapon or whatnot you want to do with this as well. He's doing Pillar of the Cage God as an example here of one. So this is like, these ascendancies look super fun. I think the Asmeri Spear one is like, looks like one of the coolest shit, just
It
period
is.
in the game.
I agree.
Okay. But this looks pretty badass as well if you're a monk enjoyer. There's new unique items coming to the game. That look pretty cracked as well. Like this is a mana stacker. Mana
the
stacker
animation on that
mace,
one
basically
looked
that uses
amazing. Yeah,
ice
here we
casting.
go.
And then there's, if you're familiar with Righteous Fire at all, as we get to it, if you're familiar with Righteous Fire, there's this staff here, which is like a circle walking simulator build, huge build from POE when people love is Pox notably does the
The
build.
ravens.
which is
That's
sort of is now
ravens,
this
right? I think it's a
AOE,
flock of ravens. That
type
circle.
of build that you can actually add from this unique item, etc. It's not the unique item, but still,
Another.
there's a lot of badass uniques
The
coming into
builds
the game
in
also.
05 is
But I mean,
gonna
that's
be
just a
fucking
teaser,
crazy.
dude. Because as you look at here, look what we have. We have 5 new in-game storylines. We have the actual new league mechanic coming to the game. We have these new type of Kalguran skills that are universal skills. They use a new life system called Ward.
No
We're gonna have to
attribute
get into all of
requirements.
this. And at the bottom here, one of the most important bits, 400 plus node atlas tree, 15 new pinnacle bosses, 30 new unique items. And that's before we talk about the quality of life like import exporting builds. Now, just to talk about real quick here, the new league mechanic that's coming to the game, it's effectively, you have like this recipe book with runes, and depending upon the combination of runes, like crafts something different or gives you a different drop, basically. Now, as you go through and learn more of them, you have more of them basically in your recipe book as you level up, etc. And when you find on a map one of these statues that has some runes already on it, you mix that with runes that you've learned, you etch it in, and you end up like making like this crafting type of system plus like a drop type of system, okay? There's more to this league mechanic though. As you go through it, you actually have new areas and all of this. This isn't even the part I want to talk about. This right here, there's a rune forging system that grants something called Runic Ward, which is sort of like a new system of a defensive layer of health. So you have like health, you have energy shield, you have mana, but now you also have runic ward. And runic ward is basically just more additional health, but you can also put the runic ward to use by using it to cast certain skills, which are now global skills that can be used regardless what weapon you're having based upon this new runic ward system. If it sounds like a lot and it's confusing, it is. This is just a highlight. We're going to have to deep dive down, delve, whatever you want to call it, into the rest of this as the week progresses. But this is just to give you a little bit of a teaser. You can see sort of here, I'm going to move my camera. You can see there's the runic system. He has runic ward, which makes him survive after his health drops to 0 because the runic is actually another form of health. Now, one notable thing, there was some confusion about this. If you have like 50 runic and 100 life, that means you have 150 life. You don't get hit for 1,000 damage on your 100 health, and then you have another instance of taking damage. It's not a cheat death, okay? It's just additional health. But this will maybe be a way that will help us get some more health for some of you red life type of enjoyers. Pretty cool system. Also, the rune forging now also allows you to upgrade your uniques from lower level bases to higher level bases. The way I was talking to Zizarin at one point, we were talking about maybe what if this system came to the game, and he explained this to me because I'm not a huge D2 guy, but basically this is like the upping system from D2. You take stuff that used to be lower level and not worth anything, you bring it to higher level, more relevant pieces of gear. So maybe there's some cool uniques you like, you want to fit into your build, or you think could have some use, but it just has dog shit stats, so you don't really use it. Well, this is a system now with this Verisium that you get from the new league mechanic that actually adds that. There's a ton more going in.
This is, a lot of people are underestimating this. For any of us that have played POE 2 since early access launched, there's a lot of times throughout the campaign where you find a unique, and as you're leveling up your character, you can't take it with you. It becomes obsolete because you outgrow it, and this mitigates that. So I don't remember all the uniques, but I do remember wishing I had certain uniques and I'm like, God damn it, this one, I can't use it anymore. Like I've outgrown it. I'm higher level and it's not doing the same thing it did back in Act 1, back in Act 2. So I think this is going to be huge. This whole system is huge, but really good point by DM bringing that up, because there's a lot of uniques in the early game that are not usable mid game and late game. So this is going to be a huge thing. What an absolutely incredible reveal yesterday. Blown away by the changes coming. Yeah, Cthulhu, welcome first of all. And yeah, that was I think if we were to watch a lot of the videos from POE 2 content creators, I think DM sentiment would be probably the majority. I think everyone's really hyped about it. Both ascendancies are awesome news considering both to league start. Yeah, like DM's going to play the Huntress one. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. We're going to take the next 3 weeks to figure out what to do. I totally understand why DM is gravitating to the Huntress. I did play the Huntress. I've tried every new class that comes into POE 2, even though personally I'm not a big melee guy. Although I beat POE 2 in hardcore on a melee character. But yeah, like DM hit the nail right on the head. That ascendancy with the Huntress is just where you can fucking have a boss with you. Like, that's crazy. So I can see why he chose it. We strike because we get the shadow. Oh my God, everybody with the shadow. Hey, Chad, I'm 100% playing Monk Martial Artist. Yeah, both these two ascendancies are going to be super popular. How you doing, Chad?
Into the league system, so we're going to have to dive in depth on that in a separate video. You can subscribe if you want to see that, but this is just to give you a little bit of a teaser.
What's up, Drake?
That comes here. And even they said they handcrafted all of these outcomes, so even some of these uniques, like this one for instance, the brass dome goes from having 2,700 armor to 995
You've been saying shadow since launch.
There's all kinds of instances of unique items being
2027
based upon this Verisium and rune forging system. There's a lot in there. Last thing I'm going to say about the new league mechanic here is you can see this is just an example. They have skills actually that are being added into the game from actual casting of the ward. So you're going to have a variety of different new skills coming to the game independent of weapon selection. Now, the way that
and
they're handling
class.
the Atlas is actually really interesting. So basically, what's going on here is each of the different league mechanics are sort of like a different zone. So what you're looking at here with the ocean, this is actually expedition. So now expedition is you actually hop on a boat and you go exploring the ocean. And there's all kinds of new boss fights and mechanics and crafting and all this stuff that actually comes with it. All of the lead mechanics are going to have a shit.
I'm not going melee, Drake.
For instance, there's going to be like an area for each one of these mechanics that have access to like the bosses. So instead of having the realm gate where you go there and just throw splinters, splinters are actually no more in the game. Instead, you have this area that you go, that you feed in when you have a key or whatnot. You can go here and actually fight the boss. So you can see there's like, you know, this giant mirror here where you go fight the new boss Tang Mizzou, which is, again, there's new pinnacle bosses. There's like 15 new bosses in the game, and all of the new, or the old mechanics have new pinnacle boss fights. Breach, same thing. You have a new zone. It's a breach zone. You go in here, you start to fight your way in. There's a new reworked version of Breach that actually has the whole Genesis Breach tree. If you're familiar with POE 1, we literally have the
Awesome
POE 1
crafting
Breach tree in the
possibilities.
game now, which means you can now craft its jewelry only, but there's new bases of items you can actually craft from this. There's a whole new crafting system, new items and everything
And currency.
that comes from them.
There's currency
This
in
is
there
another
too.
like league worth of reworks basically done here, but it's very similar to the POE 1 Breach. So you can see how they managed to kind of slide that from POE 1 to POE 2. Here's just an example of how the system actually works. Like you can see there's this huge, you know, skill tree basically of it that you use to customize to sort of make items coming from the game. There's how big the tree actually is.
It's massive.
You make jewelry, new bases, the old bases. You can kind of craft down to actually make what you want. And it looks like there's some secrets in here with something that requires 60 breach rings you put on his fingers and you get some reward or something. So there's a whole bunch more mechanics just in here as an example for one of the older.
So for those of you that are not familiar with this tree, by selecting the nodes, you can customize what you want to focus in on. Amulet, a certain type of armor, certain type of weapon. Like the selections of the node, you're basically telling the tree, this is what I want. Right? And then you put the, what's it called? The womb craft or whatever, this thing here, the 67 thing, you put it in there and poof, and it spits it out. Now, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get exactly what you want, but you're narrowing it down to what you're kind of looking for. It's a great resource for crafting gear, weapons, and if I'm not mistaken, you can also hone in on getting currency, if I'm not mistaken. I just hope they fix Temple, otherwise it's going to destroy the econ. Rez, it's confirmed. No snaky snake. Did you not watch my video today? Temple has gone core. You cannot do a snake. 100% confirmed. It was in the reveal. Drops have been normalized. The loot has been normalized. You can still do the temple, but you can't snaky. Shame. No snaky snakes. You're not going to be able to do the snakes anymore. So it's gone core and it's been normalized. The Atlas tree has its own ascendancy. Yes. I haven't watched much of anything, to be honest. Been busy at work. Okay, Rez. Well, you can watch. We're watching Mr. DM here. I did a video today that you can go watch. Just your live stream. Okay. Well, Temple's gone core and no snaky snakes. So no wrecked economy.
Reworked mechanics. And of course, it comes with the Hive Fortress, which even has more boss fights in it. Again, this is similar to the POE 1 mechanic if you're familiar with this. Now, let's talk about the Atlas tree for a moment. You're going to notice there's 30 points on the Breach Atlas tree here. They have fundamentally reworked the Atlas tree in its entirety. The Atlas tree is just way larger now. There's 400 points on it, and you can actually get literally all of the 400 points. So you might ask yourself, okay, well, how does that work if I want a sense of like opportunity cost to specialize something in the Atlas tree? Well, each of the nodes is the kind of, they've been showing this example here. You can specialize in clicking different versions of the node. So maybe you go to a notable and it has like 3 different variants of it, and you can choose to have a different version of it. So while you can get all of the nodes, it doesn't mean everyone's tree is going to be exactly the same. Here's just a big shot you can see real quick here of the whole Atlas tree. This is where the 400 nodes come from. And yes, you can fill out all of these, but again, these notables can be swapped around, and you can...
Cthulhu, you didn't try plants in 04, so you think plants for you? I played plants. It was awesome.
See here, of course, Alva Tempo is getting its own Atlas tree. You can see there's 33 points on here, and underneath my camera here is the ritual. So all of the Atlas tree itself and all of the league mechanic trees are having new additions, reworked, etc. So this is just a full scale rework of what the actual Atlas tree is. Here's one such example of like just one of the nodes that you could click, and you can kind of specialize in which of these versions you want. Maybe you want Essences, Rogue Exile, Summoning Circle from Ritual, or actually I think that's the boss Summoning Circle. So this just kind of gives you an example of like, you can fill all of these out, but there's a lot of choice here. And you'll be getting points by continuing to progress through mapping, as well as fighting in the new fortress area, or getting points from conquering the new areas tied to the league mechanics. So for instance, if you want like the Abyss points for your Abyss portion of the tree, now Abyss shows up on the map itself. And as you're conquering the maps around here, you're closing up the actual Abyss around it until you fight a boss in the middle. And these are close to your spawn. So what they wanted to do, basically, is they wanted to make it where you had obvious areas. You could go down into the ocean for expedition to the very obvious Abyss portion over here if you want to work on Abyss. Your ritual right next door, and then you have your fortress like up here. So you have all of these different areas that are no longer like citadels. I mean, there are still citadels, you go for fragments, but it's no longer like the citadels in the aspect that you have to sit around looking for these damn things. You're just in your starting area. Here's like different biomes of different type of mechanics, basically. This amount of content deserves its own breakdown in its own video explaining all of like the Atlas changes specifically. But basically what they're trying to do is make it much more static and less RNG of actually finding certain locations, having a much more obvious goal of where to go, and have progression that's smoothed out once you go into maps. So it's not just you get dropped into maps and then good fucking luck figure it all out. And that is being done by giving you these different locations on the map, different quest lines to teach you to actually go through them all the way up to actually fighting the boss. So, and they even have a breakdown of that on the actual side here, so you can click on any of these and it'll show your progression of the quest line for each of the individual mechanics and teleport you right to them. And what's crazy about this, like there's so much content, and when we're talking about the Atlas, I didn't even mention the new what they call like ascendancy classes for your actual Atlas tree.
Masters
so basically
of the Atlas.
There's 3 different
is the official
like
name.
Masters that have their own little skill tree here that you can pick between, which further modifies what you're doing on the maps. That's a whole nother system entirely. Like I said, the amount of like stuff they actually showed in this review.
Those Masters of the Atlas. So before you're going to go into a map, it's on the left, the panel for the Masters of the Atlas. You'll click it, and there's 3 of them. You click which one of the 3 you want. Within each master are, I don't know, was it 3 or 4 grids, which you earn through the quest line with them, each one of them. And you select what bonuses you want with them. And those bonuses, when you select one of the masters and then you run the map, that master, those bonuses get put into the map that you're running. And then the next map you go to, maybe you want to change it to a different master and different bonuses. It's just like
it was like quite staggering. You can just see it in the comments, like top comment, we got POE 3 before Grand Theft Auto 6. My expectations for 0.5 were high, but holy fuck. Updates like this are the reason why I've been playing since 2013. I was clicking to look at the timestamps here to help me like look through this, and like even the timestamps alone are like hilariously long. We got Ritual being reworked to have changes in rewards where it's more focused on unique farming. But also, now you don't pick up Ritual Splinters. You just take the spare tribute you don't want and offer it straight to the king. We got an actual
and it's only uniques and omens. No more crap. Well, there's probably going to be, some sort of that kind of stuff. But it's only uniques and omens for the rewards. And whatever tribute you don't use, you donate it to the king. And that's how you get the invitation to the king once you fill up the bar. Like, just crazy.
Challenge system. So you actually have league challenges that are out that give you free MTX rewards, showing you like, go do this, go do that. See if you can actually beat the challenge league. This is something that we haven't had in POE 2 yet, but has been in POE 1. Free armor looks pretty cool too, and you even get a statue for your hideout that shows you if you completed it. You have this new fortress area that is full of different like modifiers for maps, new unique maps and new challenges and bosses, etc. you can actually do inside of these walls here. So this is all like additional modifiers for map farming. For instance, like one of these is like the Open Containment Scarab from PoE 1, where all the monsters are now within strong boxes themselves. And of course, there's boss fights, etc., that you'll get within this actual fortress area too, and unlocking more Atlas points, etc. So that's just a whole new section and new. It's not like a league mechanic, but it's a whole new section on the map of content. They're also adding Atlas quality of life, something I've been asking.
And the fortress has its own quest line as well. Oh my God, what's it called? The divinity of something. So it has a quest line as well.
For since literally the first day of the game is a search function where you can search for something, hit enter, it would take it right to you on the map. This is a huge W. And this part's crazy. They're adding import export for builds straight into the game.
Crazy.
So what you can actually do now is import a build directly into the game from whoever your favorite build guy is. And then that will actually show you, and they're kind of showing the process of like actually setting it up here, but that will literally show you. So there you go, import mercenary build. It will show you what skills to take, notes that the person wrote, level by level, where they put their points here. It will show you this, so you can actually write like notes. So you can write notes for the different equipment spot here. This new unique explosive. You know, they have a shout out to Sister Hero, help you less die than I do, get as much life, etc. So you can literally follow like a build guide in the game itself without having to like constantly have another tab open, etc. And supposedly, my understanding is this is being developed so it should work for console as well, is what I was hearing from the Q&A. Here's another huge one. Instead of needing like another app that does price checking, you can actually copy paste an item that you pick up directly in, and it will show what the actual, like it will search for it automatically by control clicking it, etc. with just the stats you have on, and you can disable the ones you don't want, etc. So now you can just have this function actually built into the game. So this just goes on. This just goes on. Like we have quality of life being added. We have an in-game focus with new quest lines for all of the league mechanics, and all of the league mechanics have got additions of pinnacle bosses, as well as crafting, as well as fundamental reworks. We have a whole new section on the map as well. We have new ascendancy classes for the monk that actually, like, I'm glad the monk actually got it. And he leaked in one of his interviews here, the one with Chris Wilson, that it sounds like there's a secret ascendancy for like the Chalupa monk, or Chalulu, I suppose. I should stop calling it Chalupa Supreme. So you can go from a Chalupa to Chalupa Supreme, basically. So like there's a shitload in this patch, boys. Now, I know everyone wanted swords. I myself, when I saw the teasers when they had swords, was surprised it wasn't in the game. Yeah. But the amount that we actually are getting from this patch, it's like 3 leagues worth of content, which I'm glad it is.
Bingo.
The reason why is they announced during the live stream that this is, in fact, confirmed going to be the last patch before 1.0 is officially being launched in the game, which they said is sometime after ExileCon. That probably means December, which means this league is going to last 6 months. And they did say they were going to run some other events and remixes of leagues, etc., to help keep us entertained in the time. But the reason this patch is so big is because, 1, they knew it needed to be big to last the 6 months period of time, but 2, because that is 100% confirmed 1.0 is arriving. It sounds like this year, but they said sometime after ExileCon. So last league before we actually get 1.0. I mean, there's more to break.
Sorry to interrupt, DM. I'm pretty sure also, and DM is saying this is, that it's going to happen in 2026. I'm also pretty sure Jonathan did say 1.0 was going to happen in 2026. I'm pretty sure that's what he said. Regardless, everybody is saying it looks like December 2026, which is going to be a 6-month league. And I agree with you, Shy Burrito. I would even go farther. You're saying, I think DM said it's 3 leagues in one patch. Some people are saying it's 4 leagues, 3 huge existing league reworks, and the new league. I'll even go as far as saying it could potentially be 5 leagues in this patch. There are 5 new quest lines in the game. Each quest line has been reworked, the content in that being the old league mechanics, the fortress, the Masters of the Atlas, Within those are quest lines, a boss, a pinnacle boss, crafting at. I can go on and on and on and on. These, for a lazy ass developer, would dissect those in 5 leagues. Like if you really wanted to stretch your work. Okay, that's being really, really like stretching it. Okay, regardless, everybody's saying the same thing. This is more than 1 league in this patch. And to DM's point, you can totally understand why there was no new class and swords. Like, God, man, look at what they've put into this reveal. Like, what's going to happen in 05. Like, it's unbelievable.
Down, and I'll have more videos going out in more detail here, but just to give you a little bit of a taste without having to watch the full 120 1 hour and 20 minutes of this. Like the amount that was actually in this, I felt tired by the end of watching it because of how crazy of an update this actually is. I don't know how they managed to cook all of this into 1 league. I mean, I guess they've been working on it for a while and the in-game got delayed and all of that, so they've had additional time, but it makes sense now when you actually look at it. So that's just a little bit of a teaser on it. More videos out coming, but it looks like we're going to be eating pretty good here on the 29th. That's about it for the video. Well, they weren't kidding when they said...
Awesome video, DM. Awesome video, bro. Guys, go like the video. And if you don't, sub to him, man. He's a great creator. Okay. We are... Jin Cirque still sounds good. I was playing before they killed the league with the snaking. Yeah, the economy took a massive hit with the temple. Also, Cthulhu, going back to your plants comment, Chad made a very good point. I just didn't want to interrupt DM. Make sure regarding if you're going to look at the plants, make sure you look at the patch notes, which aren't going to come out until a week prior to the release of 05. So the 21st, 22nd. Just make sure plants don't get nerfed because they kind of were OP. So just remember, GGG doesn't talk about everything they're going to do in a patch. We'll know everything they're going to do 95% in the patch notes. So just make sure you double check that. I would hate for you to start something that's kind of been gutted. You know what I mean? Aaron, what's up, Aaron? What character are you going to make? Oh, I don't know. We're going to spend the next 3 weeks diving into that, figuring it out. There's a couple of the new uniques that I saw, like the bow, the new bow unique looked really good. There's also like that new RF, the Raven thing looks good. There is some Sork skills that looked really good. I don't know. I'm all over the map. It's too early. My adrenaline is still kicking from the reveal. So I really, as more stuff comes out, I'm going to drill down to it. But okay, so we're going to watch another great POE 2 content creator, Dreamcore. He is very thorough. He really gets down on the content and breaks it down. I don't know, for those of you that don't watch him, well, you're going to see now. But he is, what's he talking about? 3 major confirmed changes hidden in the 05 Q&A. Yeah, he's really good with digging up stuff. So let's see what he's got to say. Dreamcore, what you got to say?
Welcome to another video, and this one I'm going to be talking about some major takeaways from the Q&A that came out from the reveal, just after the reveal yesterday. Of course, we've had the huge reveal for patch 0.5 for Path of Exile 2, and it was seriously a huge reveal. There was just so much information jam-packed into that one live stream reveal there, and basically just information overload. And then to follow up that, we had a very long Q&A as well, with tons of information just packed away there as well. So if you're one of those people who have just watched the reveal, maybe you haven't watched the Q&A yet, or perhaps you were waiting for some major takeaways from that Q&A. In this video, I'm just going to be discussing 3 really big changes that are actually coming up in the upcoming patch.
By the way, sorry, Dreamcore. By the way, for you players that are either new to Path of Exile 2 or not new, but not at a heightened level when it comes to understanding the game, understanding the mechanics, understanding defense, offense, building, all Dreamcore, just his analytics of the game. And he talks about a wide variety of topics in Path of Exile 2, but the guy is so knowledgeable and has a great way of explaining things. I highly recommend you follow him and sub to him if you're interested in learning at a very high level more about the game. His analysis is unbelievable.
In 0.5 that they've actually confirmed to be coming in this patch, and there's a few extra things tucked away in the Q&A as well, where they kind of discussed very hot topics and talked about their philosophy on those, which we'll also get onto towards the end of this video. So let's get straight into it with skill gem level modifiers. This was one of the earlier questions that Ziggy D asked Jonathan and Mark in that Q&A, and they had a little bit to say about this one. They basically said that they've discussed this internally, and they are going to do some changes in this patch, but they kind of alluded to the fact that there's not that much balance going on in this upcoming update, and they're not really too happy with the exact state of things going forward here, and there is a bit of a gap here between 0.5 and patch 1.0, which we already know is coming at the end of the year. It's probably going to be launching in December, and that gap is going to be used primarily for kind of getting the things that are currently in the game in the right place. They said that they're less interested in kind of looking towards adding new content and more focused on actually balancing the current state of the game and all of the things that are already in the game. And on the topic of skill gem level modifiers, Mark said that basically in this upcoming patch in 0.5, they're going to make some changes where they are bringing the top end of those modifiers down, and then they're shifting the modifiers up in tiers. So, for example, here's a list of the gem level modifiers that you can get on a crossbow, which is a two-handed martial weapon. And you've got, the very low-level gem level modifier there at level 2, begins appearing at item level 2 for +2 gem levels. And we scale all the way up to a level 81 minimum modifier for +7 gem levels. And you can see that the weighting here with these red circles, it goes down. So it's much, much harder to actually get these high gem level modifiers when you're, rolling normally for modifier types. But of course, there is the perfect essence of battle, which did get nerfed last league down to +5 gem levels on these two-handed martial weapons. But even at +5 gem levels, that's enough with a good weapon to do all of the content in the game, or at least it was in the previous patch. And we'll have to wait and see exactly how hard the new content is going to be, but I assume it's probably going to be still enough in the upcoming patch. But what Mark says here is that they're going to lower these top-end modifiers for less gem levels, and then they're going to shift all of these up. Now, what I think this means is that we're probably not going to see +7 on two-handers anymore. I think the maximum will be +6 or probably more likely +5. So what I expect to see here is that this +2 level of projectile skills here, for example on this crossbow, would be changed to a +1 level modifier at item level 2, and then the +3 would be +2, and then you'd have +3. This one would probably be changed to a non-variable +4, and then the highest level modifier, which is currently +7, will likely go down to +5, and that will mean that the perfect essence of battle will have to be nerfed again. So this currently provides 5 gem levels, and I expect in the new patch this will probably be changed to +3 levels, maybe +4, but I think they kind of want to make it so that this is still very rare to get, even if it's at +5, and so they don't really want the perfect essence of battle there to be, very close to that, so it will probably go down to +3. It may be the case that they've lowered the top modifier only to 6, just to see how that works, but I think that is not that much of a change, and I think people will be kind of hungry for a bigger change there, so perhaps it will go down a couple of gem levels. Overall, I think that this is going to have a little bit of impact in terms of player power level, for build kind of power level in terms of damage output.
Yeah, no kidding.
This is going to have an impact, but the general kind of problem that this is causing with, what gear you actually choose and what gear you feel like you can't choose, more specifically, things like unique weapons, that's not really going to have a huge impact, because you're still going to want a crossbow that has, +3 or +4 gem levels, because that's still a huge amount of damage compared to a lot of these, unique crossbow options, or even just generally any unique weapon type options, which don't have those gem level modifiers, and they're just generally not as strong. With that said, though, there is a thing in this patch where you're able to upgrade unique weapons into a endgame version. We saw that in the reveal, so perhaps some of those will be able to compete with crafted weapons going forward. Now, next up in the list of changes in the Q&A there is defense changes, specifically armor and evasion defense changes. So they discussed how they found out in their internal testing that players basically were not having anywhere near as much defense as they thought they would be having in sort of mid to late game builds. And there was a lot of different reasoning for that. Mark said that it could be the fact that a lot of the nodes on the tree where you kind of want to invest into, armor or evasion scaling are just bad. He said that they're bad options and often a waste of your points, which means that you don't spec into them, so your actual scaling in terms of your evasion and armor totals is going to be lower than what they would expect, because they did expect people to kind of invest into those a little bit more, and they said that just wasn't the case, that wasn't happening. And so their plan is to improve the amount of armor and evasion you'll be able to get on an average character build by boosting the base types for those particular stats. So beginning around Act 3, you will start to see higher base types providing more of those defenses, and that will scale through towards the end game. So even if you're not investing in, as much armor and evasion scaling, or perhaps you have the same amount of scaling as you did before, you'll still have a higher amount of base defenses, and they want to kind of lean into that a little bit more to be able to enable pure armor or pure evasion or hybrid builds.
Another benefit to new players, well, benefit to all players, but literally the bases that are going to drop in Act 3 and beyond, they've raised the defenses. So they've raised the basement on the defense on gear that's dropping, because they found, as Dreamcore stated here, GGG found that a lot of players, they're looking at like the defenses of players, and they're like, holy fuck, he's probably looking at my builds. This guy doesn't have enough armor or enough ES. Like, what the fuck's he doing in this zone? His defenses are horrible. But that's across the board. So they're raising the defenses on the base items that are dropping. So great for everybody, but definitely a new player probably is so occupied with so much stuff they don't even think of this. So just purely by picking up items in the game, you're benefiting from the increase in the defense that they're putting in base items.
They also went on to mention that they are nerfing some things around the recovery of Energy Shield. So Energy Shield currently, they're still not very happy with how the recovery is working there, specifically in terms of recharge. I think it's a little bit too strong. So they're going to be nerfing some things. There wasn't any specifics to exactly what they're nerfing there. They just said that they weren't very happy with the recovery, and there's going to be some changes there. And then Mark went into this huge rant where he just went off on, all of the different defensive mechanisms and things like that. Very big rant, got lots of different things in there. So one of the things he mentioned to begin with there is deflection. Talks about how the deflection stat is currently too rewarding on a low investment and not rewarding enough on a high investment. So that is something that they'd like to change. Didn't get a confirmation there as to whether that's changing in this patch or in a future patch, but I guess if he said it in the Q&A, he probably wants to try and get it into 0.5. Then he talks about armor applying to elemental damage, and he said how he'd like to see more of that on the tree in different places, so not just isolated to the strength area, but more of it kind of spread out, likely on the armor energy shield section of the tree, and also through to the armor evasion section of the tree, just more access in general. And Mark also kind of talked about the armor evasion hybrid nodes, said that they were a bit too conditional. He thought that they're most of the time not really worth investing into. So he wants to kind of improve the ability to actually use, hybrid armor evasion gear pieces and actually spec into that as a full defensive archetype. So there's going to be some general buffs there. And he also went on to discuss how hybrid evasion energy shield builds are so much stronger than pure evasion. The example he gave there was a character with 1,000 energy shield and then some evasion scaling with Ghost Dance compared to a character with just pure evasion scaling, saying how it's just so much stronger than that other option there of just going pure evasion. And he alluded to some Ghost Dance nerfs there, but nothing too specific. Lastly, in that rant, Mark talked about armor energy shield builds, and he said that this is actually the highest death rate. I think he said over 300% more deaths are on armor energy shield comparatively to any other defensive archetype. So that is kind of interesting to think about. I guess in the last patch we did kind of have a bit more of an introduction of this archetype, so perhaps there was a lot of experimentation going on with, you know, the different shape-shifting builds and things like that. Of course, we had the Druid. So perhaps part of it is that. But Mark just said there's going to be some more global buffs here to that defensive. Nothing too specific, but more kind of global buffs to allow people to actually invest into that defensive setup a little bit more. Now, after the huge kind of defensive rant that Mark went on there, they actually moved on to another topic. And this is another big takeaway from this Q&A, which is something really big that's changing in this upcoming patch. And that is Leech. Leech is getting nerfed big time in this patch. And Leech, they discussed it quite a bit there. It's become really problematic in PoE 2. Initially, when they moved from the PoE 1 system to PoE 2, they ditched the PoE 1 system because they thought it was a little bit too complex. There was just kind of too many things going on there. And PoE 1 system does have a lot of stats and kind of weird scaling going on. But PoE 2 system has posed its own problems over time. And the way how Leech currently works in PoE 2 is that you basically deal a hit of damage. And then, you know, based on that damage type, the monster then takes damage, and you have a leech percentage. So, for example, you could have a percentage of your physical damage, which you leech, or it could be a percentage of your elemental damage or chaos damage. And based on your damage type that the monster actually takes, you then leech that percentage over 1 second. And you can have any number of leech stacks active at once, but leech is immediately removed when the actual resource that it's recovering is completely topped off, unless you have some kind of overleech modifier. Now, there's also something else going on there with leech, which is the leech resistance on monsters, which is a kind of hidden stat that players can't actually see. Mark talks about that a little bit, saying how they kind of put that in there in the first place to have situations where, you know, you're hitting maybe 10 or 20 white monsters at once with one hit. They wanted to make it so that was kind of comparable to hitting a single rare monster or maybe a unique, so you got, you know, roughly the same leech. But Leech overall has become a bit problematic in PoE 2 because you can essentially abuse this system on really, really high-end builds to just get near infinite recovery. You can recover way, way too much because you deal so much damage and have so much damage output, just consistent damage output, that you just immediately top off your life bar or your ES or whatever kind of recovery you're having. Just every single frame, you know, any damage you take, you'd immediately top off back to full. So, they're going to be changing Leech in this patch, and how it's going to work now is that there's only going to be one active Leech source at a time, and that's whatever the highest source is. So, let's say you deal, you know, 10 or 20 hits in the space of 1 second, only the highest instance of Leech will recover at any one time. And if this works anything like any of the similar mechanics in PoE 1, all of the Leech instances will still exist on your character, but only the highest one will actually recover at a time. So as soon as that highest one drops off, as soon as it expires, the next highest one will then replace it, and so on and so forth. Now, to add to that, they're also going to be adding a cap on the damage that Leech will actually consider. So at some point, you will have so much damage that adding more damage will not mean more recovery. There will be a cap placed on it. We don't know what this cap is going to be, but whatever that cap is, at some point you will not be able to improve your recovery through increasing your damage, and instead the only option you'll have to actually improve your recovery from Leech is by investing into more Leech percentage. So the more you actually get, you know, the more of a percentage of the damage the monster actually takes from your hit that you have as Leech, that will improve your recovery. And they discussed how this new system should make it so that Leech is more consistent across the board, where, you know, you'll be able to just, like, hit a white monster, for example, and you'll get the same amount of Leech as you would from a rare monster or a unique monster. They kind of want it to feel a little bit more reliable, but also not completely out of control. So this is a really big change because, just generally speaking, the current system, the way how it is in the game prior to the 0.5 patch, is basically really abusable by very strong builds. We've seen, things like the Comet chain builds where they're just constantly triggering Comet over and over again. Those builds basically cannot die because as long as they can't get one shot, they're always fully recovering their resource, in every single frame. So that is just extremely strong. And with the new system, that won't really be a thing. You'll have like a maximum cap on the amount of leech you can get at a baseline based on a damage cap. And then you'll have to actually actively invest into more leech percentage to get more recovery. So that'll be interesting to experience exactly what that feels like in game. So that's something you can look out for, when the new patch drops. You can kind of see how that new leech system functions and see how it feels to play around with. Now,
yeah, you guys both make good points. Torchaff, welcome, by the way. Well, I guess Cast on Crit Comet, Blood Mage is dead now. Looks like it. Nah, no Absurd Life Leech, no Cast on Crit Comet. Well, we could... I'm the last person to talk about, builds and the dynamics of that. But even me, a rookie in making builds, knows how GGG feels about Cast on Crit. And there's a lot of people in the community that can't stand it. Personally, I understand why, but I personally like it. That I had Cast on Crit Comet, my Sork, in 0-1. I was one of those people that got nerfed to the ground, and it literally killed my league, because I respect before the changes came with the costs. Anyway, I'm digressing. And Shy Burrito, you're right. The problem has always been that defenses that scale with your offense is too strong, hence why they're capping it. Leech has been a pain in their ass in POE 1, and they thought they were going to get away with it in POE 2 with the changes, and it looks like it's creeped up in POE 2 as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how these changes impact Leech. But now they're going to cap it, and we'll just wait and see. To be honest, how many more Ascendancies do you think we will get before launch? My guess is 2. I haven't gone in to do the math. I think there was 4 to 6 more missing with the current 8 classes currently in the game. So we got 2 more. So yeah, I would think we're going to get a couple of more. I also think we're going to get a new class prior to 1.0. That's my guess. Of course, we don't know for sure. Wishful thinking, 2 new classes. Because they're going to fine tune all the way to 1.0, which again, everyone is speculating is going to be December. They're going to make the announcement in November in ExalCon. I still think there's a chance we get a shadow drop this month of Arcane Archer, or maybe even a class if it was close. Look, anything's possible, Shy Burrito. I think in order for... Look, it's very evident, at least to me, and maybe you guys disagree, probably the hardest thing, the heavy lifting, is making a class. It just looks like them creating a new class. And we saw it. Druid was delayed. So making a new class is just so intertwined with every aspect of the game, and I don't think they want to do all that work to only and introduce it in the game. Okay, let's say you're right. Let's say next month they introduce the Shadow or the Duelist, whatever, right? Okay, so that's, what are we in? We're in May, June. Okay, let's say in July. So the game launches May 29th. June 29th, they introduce a new class. Let's go with your theory, okay? They're still testing and getting feedback of 0.5. Maybe the fucking end game is a disaster. The quests are not working, the whatever, right? Shit is all over the place again in the infinite world. There's no more structure. Yeah, in the beginning, we have the fortress. You know, we have the quest lines and we have all the different content. But then as we spawn out, things start getting messy. What, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud, right? Why would you do all that work when they're still balancing the game and they're still addressing the end game? Because I say that because when you're implementing a class, it affects everything. So you don't want to put the cart before the horse. You want to get the foundation right before you bring in a new class. You know what I mean? With the druid, they have to introduce new classes in early access. What else were they going to do, right? Really, they have classes, endgame, trials of ascendancy, balance, which in an ARPG, balance is a moving target. That we're always going to be talking about balancing the game. Next year, 2028, 2029. It's always going to be a topic of discussion. That's never going to go away. So that's an ongoing thing. But we already know they're willing to go into 1.0 without all 12 classes. So I just don't think, number one, it's pretty clear to me, classes is a big haul, a lot of work for grinding gear games, number one. Number two, I wouldn't put the cart before the horse. The game has to be fleshed out, the end game. Once you have that, then go to town. Start introducing classes. So, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's not the first month. Maybe it's month 3. This is going to be long. It's 6 months till we get 1.0. So maybe you're right. Maybe they surprise us. The thing with the new classes that kind of just takes your theory right, chops it right in the knees. You're forgetting ExileCon November 7th. This is they're spending a lot of money. Apparently it takes a year to organize and plan. All these people are spending a shit ton of money to go there. I wish I was going, but I'm not. But you got to have big stuff, right? And everybody already knows 1.0 is going to be part of that announcement. So maybe they'll save the introduction of swords and a new class then. I got my money on that. They know how people are salivating for swords. Hey, man, I'm waiting until ExileCon. Hey, guys, 1.0 is launching December X. And by the way, welcome to your new class, gladiator, duelist. I have the art book from Grinding Gear Games from my supporter pack. There's no duelist in there. Now, maybe the art book is wrong, whatever. But here's the new class with the swords, and people are going to go ape shit in that stadium, in whatever, the conference area, whatever. That's what I would do. Yeah, they probably want to save it up for ExileCon. Yeah. What or more? I doubt balance is going to be good in this league launch. They said they didn't do much balancing. That's their focus before 1.0. Yeah, you're right. They didn't do any balance. No. But after May 29th till December, 1.0, that's when they're going to dot the I's, cross the T's, and get everything. Again, when I mean everything, you're never going to fully balance this game. It's an ARPG, man. There's going to be shit. They always say it. We can test as much as we want. We're never going to test as quick and reveal what the players can. We do it quicker, faster, and we do stuff that they don't think of, right? So anyway, but you make a valid point. Yeah. They didn't do anything. No balancing. Yeah. People complained about no druid 3 leagues before we got it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, the druid was delayed, right? We got it a league later, just like we got the end game later, right? All the base classes should have been done first, then the rest, to be honest. Yeah, I can see that argument. But, this is also a business, and they want to capitalize on announcements. They want to capitalize on stuff. So, no, I think a slow release, and we're losing sight of the fact, although everybody's aware of this, it's been a bumpy road, early access, very bumpy. So why you would implement new classes when you're still figuring shit out? Now it looks like they've cut, they're dropping all this content in 0.5. It looks like, again, question mark, it looks like endgame is there, but we got to see. We'll see. So the new class things, I know everybody wants a new shiny toy to play every league, but be patient. Be patient. It's coming. We have our hands full with this update. And we do not lack... Well, let me think about this comment. I don't think we lack build diversity in this game. We have 8 classes. I know not all of the ascendancies, all 3 are there. Actually, some have 4. But there's a wide variety of builds to play, even in the 8 classes that are in the game now. So, anyway, that's my opinion.
Now, those are the 3 major takeaways in terms of changes coming in 0.5, but there were 2 hot topics that were discussed in this Q&A, which are not really receiving changes in this patch, but they did discuss them in a bit of detail. The first one is increased item rarity modifiers, of course, on gear. Another hot topic, that one is kind of right there alongside the skill gem level modifiers, and rarity seems to be unchanged in this upcoming patch, but Jonathan does hope that the reward agency that the new endgame provides will kind of help offset rarity affecting currency a little bit, because he mentioned how you'd be able to kind of target farm specific things that are valuable, like for example omens and things like that, to kind of offset the increase in the amount of currency in the economy. So whether that actually pans out or not is anyone's guess, but that is what Jonathan hopes will happen. The other topic there is life not on the tree. Of course, this has been something else that people have been discussing a lot, the whole kind of life versus energy shield thing. Now, Mark did discuss here how internally they see energy shield as comparable to armor and evasion as a defense type, rather than as kind of an extension of your life or as a competing resource against life, which is kind of not really how it's used in the game right now, but that's how they see it internally, and they kind of want to get the game into a better place where they can actually view it as that rather than, you know, the whole life versus ES thing. And they want to kind of fix defenses first at a baseline. That's kind of part of what they're doing with the whole armor and evasion stuff and nerfing the recovery on energy shield and things like that. And they want to see how that pans out in this patch before they actually consider things like life on the tree. They did say that it's not off the table, so it's not something that they're completely dismissing and that it's never going to happen. But Mark, as of right now in that Q&A, still said he preferred that it's not on the tree. So that is something that may change in the future, but as of right now, they want to kind of flesh out defenses a little bit more, have them a little bit more balanced, and see how that goes in the game. But
the thing with life nodes on the skill tree is Mark got into it that, you know, they don't want players going off the grid on the skill tree, like venturing off just to get the life nodes and getting away from the core of the build. Like, again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm the last person you want to talk about when it comes to this topic, as far as, you know, knowing the ins and outs of all the mechanics and all how to build a character, right? I'm very new with it. Hopefully that's not going to be the case over time. But I understand the rationale why they bring it up, right? They don't want to make it mandatory that you see a life node on the tree and that you got to run to it. And again, you know, it takes 7 or 8 nodes to get there, and those are 7 or 8 nodes that you could put into the core of your character, right? So anyway, he did make a good point to where if you're dying, you want to pick up life, but it's 10 nodes away. You can't solve the problem when you need. That's right. And life is not always the answer. That's a very good point, Shy Burrito. Yes, I forgot about that. He did bring that up. And life is not always the answer, although it's the first thing we think about. So yeah, he's right.
That is it. That's the kind of core Q&A takeaways there for me for those specific changes. There was a whole lot of other stuff going on in the Q&A. It was quite a long discussion, but I wanted to kind of highlight those things as quite big mechanical changes that may affect the meta in a big way coming up in the patch. You know, things like the defensive changes, things like the skill gem level modifiers, and the leech especially. I feel like they're going to have quite a big impact on what people actually want to play in the upcoming patch and what people end up playing after they get to experience those new mechanics. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, another great video. He's so good. Anyway, Dreamcore boys, I highly recommend watching his content. Definitely subbing to him. He's really good at breaking down a lot of stuff. Okay, so Path of Exile 2 becoming a complete experience with Return of the Ancients, and this is Destin. Did I say Destiny when I was talking about it earlier? Destin. I always butcher his name. Destin has interviewed Jonathan a lot of times, so it's always a good interview. So I wanted to give this a watch, and hopefully this is post 05. We'll see what happens. When was this done? 1 day ago, so maybe it was done before. I don't know. We'll see.
Who's your favorite boss in the game, new or old, and why?
The thing that I probably want to be playing is the
How important will fan feedback be now?
definitely important. I mean, look, if everyone turns around and says, you know what, we actually hate the new endgame, obviously then that means we can't launch 1.0, right?
Jonathan, thank you so much for having me again. What a great stream. How are you feeling after putting it out there for everybody to see?
Nice.
I mean, it's definitely been a lot of work, I'll tell you. Like, you know, it's been a little bit of a long cycle. We had that little bit of a delay as well, but I think it's been worth it. Like, you know, there's a huge amount of content in the release. It's kind of like it must surely be the biggest release we've ever done. You know, outside of like literally 010
for sure.
For POE 2. Yeah, it's definitely been it's been pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot, and I think you adjusted your camera on your set. It looks a little better. Your headspace is better. Your lighting's better. So big props
Maybe it's
to
just
you.
a night instead of daytime.
Yeah. Also, there's some light in the room for a change. This is a very endgame focused, reveal, obviously. How did you land on this? You can take many different ways. You know, there's a new fully playable atlas in a fully playable world, basically clear destinations, bosses are reachable with a quest line. How did you land on this being the fix for endgame?
Yeah, so there was several things we kind of observed were problems in Path of Exile 2 compared to POE 1, right? And I mean, POE 1's got a very successful endgame, and we're kind of like, we've got like a cool new way of doing things in POE 2, but yet it's not sort of landing as well as POE 1 did somehow. And there was a few things we sort of observed. One of them is that when you got to endgame, there wasn't really anything telling you what to do. It's like, here's just this infinite thing you can go do, but there's like, well, what actually am I supposed to be doing here? So having that kind of quest introduction of like, okay, well, here's a thing and here's another thing, and you know, here's some literally some quest markers of like, go here, go there, right? That sort of stuff really does help. But in order to do that, we had to kind of say, okay, we're not going to embrace like full random anymore. We're going to actually have the starting area around where you begin be the sort of fixed thing. You know, we've got like, you know, if you go to the south, you're going to find, you know, the breach area. And if you go to the west, you're going to find the, you know, the ritual area. So that kind of stuff is really important. And it actually feels really cool. It makes the world feel really alive and like an actual living, breathing world. So that was like one of the things we really wanted to do. And honestly, it's helped so much. Like when you're playing it, it's just like, oh, it feels like there's stuff everywhere to find. So that's been really good. But the other one is just like, we wanted to make sure that there was a situation where you felt like you could actually complete the end game. Like there were just like progress bars. Like literally it can be that simple, right? Like here's the leagues, here's how much through them you are. You know, like just knowing that is like a hugely important thing, right? You know, it's like, and like if I do all of these, it's going to lead me to all of the different bosses and content and stuff like that. It's like that's actually just a really important thing. So I think it's like a really, really nice change to the end game that does help a lot.
Yeah, for me, you know, the first time I ever got to endgame, it's kind of, I did the highest map difficulty, and I'm like, that's good enough for me. I'm going to bounce over that. And you've been working on it since. This is such a drastic positive change. It's just really, really refreshing to see, even for somebody who's like, you know, not as hardcore as some of the other guys out there. But yeah.
Well, I mean, in an ideal world, even someone who's not particularly hardcore can still feel like, okay, I'm going to go there. If I follow these quest lines, I'm going to be able to kill all these bosses. Like that kind of stuff, I think really does improve it for players sort of getting into endgame for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel more excited about playing this season than I have probably any season, because I know it goes somewhere, right? Atlas passive, that can be unlocked. I'm not sure if I actually like that, because you can unlock the full tree. And I say that because it removes the player needing to make those hard choices or trade-offs. How do you think about it?
So I actually, the whole trade-offs thing is still very important. And so that's the reason why we're like, okay, rather than have it so that you've got this huge tree that you need to make these decisions, we're going to sort of, the things that really matter when you're doing an Atlas tree are more like the keystones, like the sort of the big nodes that actually matter. So we're like, okay, what if we put those effectively either as multi-choice nodes that are like this, you know, there's like specific places on the normal Atlas tree, or we're going to put them into the effectively these Atlas ascendancy classes that we're making, the masters of the Atlas. And by doing it that way, we effectively get to have all those player build choices without it necessarily needing to be this big intimidating tree, you know, that's sort of intimidating in that way. But the other thing as well that's a lot more subtle, and I kind of tried to explain it in the video, but it's quite a sort of hard thing to get, is that you the types of bonuses that we could put on the tree could never be something that affected content that you knew in advance you were going to get. And what I mean by that is that like we couldn't have a bonus before that was like, okay, while you're in a forest, this could happen. Because then you just like allocate that node when you're coming up to a forest. Then when you leave the forest, like, I'm going to unallocate that and allocate something else. And so effectively what it means now is we can have those bonuses that like are more interesting, that like only affect certain content, and actually like unbound our hands to be able to add a lot of bonuses we couldn't do before. So it just makes the tree a lot more interesting and way cooler. Now, the downside of it is when you've got a tree like that is you can't have nodes that add difficulty. Because if you do that, then it means that you're getting the whole tree, right? So like if I add difficulty and you can't handle that, then that's not acceptable. So to solve that problem, like a lot of the multi-choice nodes are the ones that add the difficulty, where you can kind of pick, like, do I want to make this harder or easier? And so you're kind of tuning like whether or not you want it to be more hard or more easy for you with those nodes. So that's kind of like, you know, the thing you saw there with the shrine example, where it's like, okay, do you want it to make it so you're getting more shrine buffs, or do you want to make it so the bosses are getting more shrine buffs, but then you're getting more rewards, you know? So you're still getting those trade-offs, but they're a bit more explicit and kind of like, you know, don't require necessarily going through the whole tree to be able to do that.
So you brought up the shrine buffs. Would you say you took it out of the tree and sort of moved it into gameplay elements? Is that kind of what you were going for?
I mean, yeah, in some ways, but it's like I mean, we just also, the other thing with the old tree is it just wasn't even nearly as interesting. Like we need to just put a lot more time into it, of like making all the mechanics and the interesting mixes of them and stuff like that. There's just like tons of mechanics now. We're like, hey, what if this mechanic was mashed up with that mechanic? What would it look like? And you know, now we're going to make a tree node for that and that kind of thing. So there's just kind of all over the place, and a lot of that depth of combination is the stuff that I don't think that we sort of had time to really do in the in game of PoE 2 as much with some of that content. And now doing that, it's going to be a lot better, I think.
Ocean exploration, another big addition to the map. How did you land on that as a solution to sort of flesh out all the different ideas?
Well, we wanted to make sure that every league had some kind of cool Atlas mechanic that you wouldn't expect, you know, like some modifying the Atlas in some way. So you've got like, you know, something like delirium fog, it's like you're spreading fog around the Atlas and stuff like that. And so for Expedition, we're like, okay, well, what could it be that's an Atlas mechanic? It's kind of hard to fit, you know, like boating around in the Atlas as it was. And we're like, well, hang on, it's infinite in all directions. Why don't we just take one of the directions and say that's the ocean? And now we can explore infinitely in that direction. And we're like, okay, sweet. Now we can do this whole thing of exploring the ocean. And it feels really different as well. And we've added a bunch of maps. There's like a bunch of different new maps out there to explore with new mechanics and so on. It's just a sort of it's a fun thing, and it's a little bit like Delve in a way, where you're kind of like you know, exploring this totally other sort of game mode almost, where you're just engaging with logbooks and exploring the ocean. So you know, I really like that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Another really interesting thing, I'm really excited about this. You now have a build planner. How do you convey within the build planner like where you start and when you start branching? Because sometimes with builds, if you've ever followed a build, I'm sure you never have, but you would need to tree off on like somewhere you were before at a certain point. Can that be conveyed within the new system?
Yeah. So what we did is we put level ranges on all of the different elements. So that way the build guide creator can say, okay, like here's the level where you're supposed to do this, and here's the level where you're supposed to do that, and that kind of thing. Like we try to really sort of consult the existing build guides that you'd find on, on existing community sites to kind of see what kind of features that they would need to be able to achieve the stuff that they want to do. And the other thing as well is we're just quite like, I thought it'd be quite interesting to just add the ability for people to, for build guide creators to sort of add notes all around the UI. And I think I want to expand on that later as well, of just like the kind of the abilities, like wherever on the UI that a build guide person wants to put, like information, they can kind of do that in order to sort of convey that extra tutorialization to the player. So I'm pretty excited to see what people do with it. Like it's quite a big system, and in terms of like what the power it gives to build creators. So I suspect there'll kind of be some standardization of what kind of things people land on in terms of what they want to show, but it gives a lot of power anyway.
It's really cool, and I don't think I've seen a game do it like that before, where you give the creators such a level of access and tooling within the system.
Well,
really good stuff.
This was kind of similar to our approach to item filters, where that sort of started out as just a thing where, people can write text files that describe how to filter things. And then eventually, the community made a bunch of tools for that. And then eventually we also did a thing where on our website, like we've got like ladders of them and stuff like that, and we'll probably do more of that stuff later. Especially because the plan for the build guide stuff is that you won't need to necessarily be manipulating files forever, right? Like we want it so that it can be like a one-click, like here's a build creator's website. I just click that and I get the build into your game client. That's where it will go. Especially for console players and stuff like that. Like we want to sort of get this out there and get people creating stuff and sort of see what tools that people can make.
Yeah, it just sort of seems like a double win, a win for the creators and a win for y'all because your players have better support. It's just great. Yeah. A lot of the stuff that you did is just I'm going through everything, and it's really a positive stream in my opinion. I think people are really going to like it. I ask this every time, one of my left field questions. What are you playing right now, and what are you looking forward to this year?
Do you mean other games or in Path?
Not your game, not the one you work on all the time. Other people's games.
I'm gonna do a kind of a weirdly deep cut here. Okay. I'm playing this puzzle game called The Artisan of Glimmerth.
Dearest esteemed artisan, you have my deepest gratitude for undertaking the restoration of Glimmerth's revered glassworks. Masterpieces whose brilliance once illuminated this kingdom.
It's one of the few games I've ever seen with a 99% review score on Steam.
Wow.
It's like this hyper niche puzzle game, but I'm really enjoying it. But no, there's all sorts of stuff. Slay the Spire and stuff like that. There's all this the stuff that everyone's playing, but that's one that I'm playing that does not have enough people playing, in my opinion. And I'm really enjoying it for those puzzle game lovers.
That was the game.
I always love your picks because they're something I've never heard of, and then I need to learn more about it. I think it was either you or Mark that said one about like a drifter, like going.
The drifter was me. Yeah, no, that was a good one. Did you play the drifter?
No, I never got a chance to.
Okay, you should. It's really good.
Yeah. I don't know if this is a thing, but did a bunch of ARPG veterans meet up around GDC time to talk about?
Yeah.
Same with me. I'm like,
we had
what?
An ultra secret
That's an ad.
ARPG, roundtable at GDC. It was just really interesting to be able to chat to all those guys and sort of find out, like what kind of stuff they're working on, and like what their views are on different mechanics and that sort of stuff. It's good to be able to do that kind of like without it necessarily being public, because then you can kind of like talk about things that you wouldn't necessarily want to talk about publicly with that stuff as well.
How is everybody feeling about the genre though? Maybe you could give me a vibe check.
I mean, I definitely think that there's a lot of positivity there. I mean, it's more, it's more popular than ever in terms of like the number of players and so on. Like, and obviously there's a huge amount of disagreements about exactly how everything should work, but that's what you'd expect. A group of people with different games.
Yeah, no, it's really cool, and it was just kind of interesting to hear. And then we got this pretty good Diablo season coming out. You have this amazing thing coming out at the end of May. So, really, really good stuff. Armor sets for challenges, just heck yeah, really excited about that. That's a huge W. Something about a game like yours, you have to balance cosmetics with things that you earn in the game that people go, whoa, you earned that through gameplay, you didn't buy it, right? How do you balance that with the cosmetic idea, given that you're not a free-to-play game yet, but you will be eventually?
Right. I mean, you got to be a little bit careful with it, because obviously, like if you can get a lot of things for free. Obviously, you might never buy anything, but you know, it's one of those things that it is important that you have that kind of stuff that you can see, so that people know about, you know, just like, you know, whether or not you finish things. And I honestly was wondering, like, we were looking at like, okay, what are all the things that would lead someone to you know, enjoy the Path of Exile 1 end game, that you know, who isn't necessarily enjoying the PoE 2 end game. And we're like, okay, well, one of those things might be that it's that simple, just like a series of challenges, right? Like here is the things that say, like, more of those things that can say to you, like, you know, here are the things that I want to achieve in this league cycle. And so that was another one of those things, like challenges were another one of those things that we just hadn't done in PoE 2 yet. And so then I guess we'll see, like, you know, how much of an effect does that have? And like, you know, and is the chase for, like, you know, I have finished this league being that, is that part of it?
Oh, I think it's going to be. It's huge in my opinion. Those pinnacle items that really show that you put in the time, not just to grind and get like a random drop, but to actually get an armor set that has like, I'm mainly known as a Destiny guy from back in the day, right? When Destiny was a thing, and they really had that in an interesting way, like with the Vault of Glass sets and everything like that early on. So I'm really excited to see something like that come to pass. It's another reason why this particular stream was interesting to me.
I too was a Destiny player back in the day, just like Destin, and I can tell you one thing, like certain raids, and then they added difficulty, different layers of difficulty in the raids, like challenge modes in the raid. So there was a normal raid, and then there was levels, and each raid had its own specific gear that could only be attained by completing that raid. And that was the same case for if you did it in a higher difficulty. And believe me, when you went into town and you beat the raid over and over in the highest difficulty, because you wouldn't get all the gear, obviously, to drop in one raid. You had to do it many times. But when you completed a set and it was the highest difficulty raid, believe me, you pounced around town and you were like proud, like that people would see you in the gear. It was a flex. So I totally get what Destin's talking about. I don't see that as much, even with this challenge thing. I understand why they added it. I do think it's a good thing. But there's a little bit of side of me that I wish ARPGs would do a little bit of that. I know it might not be popular, but I wouldn't mind. So flex items, not for people that are whales. That's not, I don't want that. Maybe adding challenges in the game that are higher tiered, more difficult, and it rewards only that certain area will award certain cosmetics. You know what I mean? I want a flex feature, not by whaling. Ah, shit. Here we go again. What's up? What's up, Slim?
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
I'm trying to register. All we got, yes. You're trying to register? Yeah, bro. It's... I think I'm just going to watch videos now until May 29th.
Me. I feel like I'm talking more than you this
Mage Blood is a flex item.
Just gushing about how good.
Yeah, but you don't see it. You don't see it. I'm talking about armor. I'm talking about maybe even cosmetics. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud, you know. I understand Mage Blood Hunter. It's a flex, yes. But I'm talking about things people would be proud about, you know, going into town. You know what I mean? Anyway.
The news
not
was
super important.
Let me see, what else do I have here? Oh, bosses. Lots of new bosses this time. Who's your favorite boss in the game, new or old, and why?
Tricky.
Interesting. What's he gonna say?
Well, right now, I think just the coolest conceptually in the game right now, like in terms of, like, you know, I've only done it like semi-legit, so I can't like fully say it will be my favorite when it's actually deployed. But the Bodark, like underground, like the one that's sort of under the ground. I mean, you wouldn't have seen too much of it in the stream, but it's just so conceptually cool with the way that it works, and it has some like really unique mechanics as well in terms of like phase change mechanics and stuff like that.
I think that's the
I guess you'll have to wait
one.
to play it, but yeah, you sort of the sort of the demon that's underground in a realm of darkness, and then you have to bring light to it, and there's like things that there's moments in the fight where you have to like bring light into the darkness, and you sort of then you get to see it, and, like, removes the darkness from the top from the. Yeah, I'm kind of talking about something you haven't seen, so you might not know about it. But yeah, there's just some really cool mechanics there, and I think people will find it pretty cool.
Well,
it's definitely one of the coolest ones I'm looking at.
Sorry, go ahead. What did you say there at the end?
Oh yeah, so it's definitely one of the coolest ones that, like, just conceptually even that I would say is in the game right now.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I was going to ask about that, but how do you design a unique boss encounter that plays with your mind? Like, it looks like the room is completely black. What sort of mechanics do you use with that? It sounds like light a little bit. I don't want you to spoil too much because it's.
Yeah. I mean, that one was that one was pretty interesting. So you've kind of like the bringing the light to the darkness thing. There's some the god Viridi kind of gets involved in this fight, and eventually once you've been down there, you're able to call on her, and then she creates these little patches where when you go into them, it like summons like sort of verdant area of grass that kind of opens up. And while you're in the grass, the Bodark can't go into that. So then you're able to sort of like get a fight on it. But then during the phase transition, he like completely annihilates all of the grass areas that you've made, and then then Viridi has to come down and kind of make this like short small path that goes through the fight, and you go through. Yeah, as I said, there's just lots of stuff going on. It's like you have to give the player sort of some anchors to be able to see, even though it's like a completely dark area. So and to be able to interact with, and that's kind of what we did there. But so these bosses honestly have taken some of the most effort of any that we've ever made. Like we started on them before 040. Like originally we intended to get some of the stuff in 040, and then it ended up being that we couldn't make it in time. So they've actually had like a huge amount of development compared to a lot of other bosses.
That's great. I'm excited to play that one myself. Speaking of, this isn't really a boss question, but in the trailer you did show that you can now tame and sort of summon bosses to fight with you. So which one is your favorite this time? Because last time I asked for the other...
to fight with you. I actually don't know. I have to admit, I haven't been playing that class in my playtesting. Like the Ascendancy class is something that Mark usually works on quite a lot. So the Monk has been the one that I've been playing through in my the new Monk class, and I really enjoy that one. It's like it's really my style.
Martial artist.
So I actually haven't really had a chance to play through the game fully with that class. But
Jonathan's
there's a ton of beasts there, and I've got absolutely no idea which ones the players will end up using to kill stuff. I mean, one of the interesting things with bosses, they have these kind of large grand abilities, and so I'm sure there's going to be some kind of utility there. Like I bet you that owl boss is going to be kind of interesting for doing boss fighting, given that it's got the big freeze move. So there'll be stuff like that. I'm sure that will end up being the ones.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of Monk, then what build guide will you be uploading for the Monk?
So
there's
Monk, some pretty
it's different now. Sorry, it's yeah.
So
sorry, Torchaff. What do you mean they spoiled the entire League story? Are you referring to like the League, the actual League mechanic? Like Pharaoh and all that kind of stuff? Oh, saving Gwen? Oh, okay. That's the expedition quest line. Yeah. Yeah. Gwen is the expedition. That's the explore the ocean. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm sure there's going to be things. There's going to be more detail as we go through it. You still have to experience it, but I get what you're saying. They kind of told us the plot. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I never thought of it that way, actually. Not a bad point. Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
The thing that I probably want to be playing is the hollow palm technique.
I didn't know
Monk with
if she was alive or not. Maybe that's just me. Yeah. No, you make a valid point. Are you a big lore guy? I'm not saying you need to be, but or it could be as simple as just you don't want the story ruined. You would have preferred to. But Welcome to 2026, man. Information at our fingertips. There's no secrets. Everybody knows everything. Not a huge lore guy, but I like a good story. Yeah. No, you're right. I get it.
That. So one of the things that we wanted to do, so hollow palm technique is the thing that means that you use your bare fists to fight. Something that we added in a previous expansion, but this ascendancy class is really designed to work well with it, with the way that it can convert your glove mods into mods that are then more useful to use, like as an attacker. So it's giving you a lot more options for how to use hollow palm technique, as well as that new set of gloves that does that culling, increases your culling threshold. Like that's just a really cool. Unique as well. So there's just some pretty interesting
playing, by the way.
Interesting combinations there.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Definitely we'll note that one down. You did also say during the AMA, this is your final update before 1.0. Once 1.0,
the final main content update. We'll probably do some like other patches. There'll probably be like a 0.51, a 0.52, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like we sort of feel like in terms of content, like that we're there. As far as apart from the stuff that 1.0 itself will add, like we feel like the game is kind of. It should feel like a complete experience now in terms of like, you go through the campaign, you go through the end game, all that sort of stuff. Like apart from the fact that there's some missing acts there, I think that we're there now. So we'll have to see if the players agree. But in my opinion, now what we need to be focusing on more is like
by Jonathan.
enhancing and finishing everything that we already have, before we get to 1.0.
Martial artist.
So that's going to mean, like adding more uniques and like adding some extra skills to the existing classes and like, to round out certain builds that didn't have certain things and that kind of stuff. And we will need to do some like some leagues for that, but they won't kind of be like content heavy leagues like this. It'll probably be more like, like sort of 1 month race type thing so that we can do like more, that sort of balance testing. But yeah, this is the last major big content update. And then 1.0 will have the all the goodies that we plan to release there.
Well, diving into that just a little bit more, I was sort of curious, once 1.0 drops and you and your team, are you going to throw a big party?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's about time. It's been a long.
Destin, there's so many questions leading up to that right there. What do you plan? Are you planning on adding another class before 1.0? What's happening with Toda? You said it's a coin flip whether or not you're going to be adding the third ascendancy before 1.0. Are you still sticking to that? Are all the ascendancies in the current classes in the game going to be added for one? Bro.
Long road, and way longer than a road than we expected to get
all
here.
Due respect, he's probably
at least I'm hoping it's going to be party worthy when we drop it.
Yeah, I've been covering it for a long time. I'm just really happy to see all the success y'all are having with over at Grinding Gear Games just throughout the Path 2 and Path 1's life cycle since I started covering.
By the way, fun fact, you guys probably already know this, but the game has already paid for the development of the game back in early access. So when it launched in December, they had over 1 million, don't quote me, over 1 million keys purchased. So that in itself paid for the development of Path of Exile 2. So the game is in a very good spot financially, I would assume. And that's not something that I've interpreted. They've actually stated that. So, yeah, interesting fact, which you guys probably already knew.
You're going to do it after ExileCon, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one. So we've got ExileCon in November, and it'll be after that. I'm not going to give you an exact date, but, probably not the same weekend GTA 6 comes out. The different weekend than that, but after ExileCon.
Good strat.
I've heard game companies try and avoid Grand Theft Auto 6 for some reason. It's a mystery,
for some
right?
reason.
Yeah. What do you feel you still need to tweak? Is it just Acts 5 and 6 or?
There's definitely that, but I think just classes where now that we've learned more about what needs to happen, like they need a few extra skills. There might be some skills that need to change out. One of the really big ones that I still don't think we quite got right, and we tried to do in this patch, is just more uniques, like more cool uniques. Like I really wanted to make a big statement at the end of the live stream about the uniques that we have, which is why we showed so many of them, and like basically like every unique now has to kind of has to have skills that come with it and interesting play styles that come with it. But I think we need to do even more. Yeah, a lot more of those, and would be good. And you know, it's really, and it's like balance, right? Like just the sort of the more boring, just like balance changes and things that need to happen, just kind of make the game feel good. And
The non-shiny
it honestly
stuff.
can be quite hard to get enough time to work on that balance stuff when you're also adding new content at the same time. So it'll be really nice to have a period there where the where we get a little bit of time to just do a release with only like balance and uniques and like, you know, just those smaller things between 0.50 and 1.0.
Yeah, I'm sort of curious, how important will fan feedback be now that you feel like you're in a pretty good place with
definitely important. I mean, look, if everyone turns around and says, you know what, we actually hate the new end game, obviously then that means we can't launch 1.0, right? Like we would have to then be like, okay, we still need to change this. We need to do another big update to it. I'm hoping that's not going to happen, but you know, like if there was something like that would happen, then it'd be like, okay, well now 0.51 needs to be addressing whatever that is, and like, you know, we're not going to obviously go into 1.0 until we know that it's good. Yeah, we're pretty confident that you know, we're gonna have something and that people will be sort of believing that that's a good amount of content to go into 1.0 with.
We're recording this before the public reveal. Spoiler warning, everybody, with production. What is your gut feeling? How do you feel like people are going to react to it?
Before the live reveal.
I honestly think that people are going to really love the new endgame stuff. Like, I think it's a huge, great change. One thing that was just a mistake on our part is like, there's some people who believe that there's going to be the like swords in the new update, and we don't have that. So there might be a little bit of like, oh, you know, they promised us that had the swords, but they didn't do it because you know, people took a lot of hint. There was like one of the teasers we did had a sword with a sword in it. They're hinting to swords. So there's kind of a little bit of that, but I'm pretty sure people are going to be pretty happy with the endgame content we're doing. Like it's it's pretty clear to me that it's way better.
No swords, get them, internet.
Yeah, exactly.
I had sort of a random one written down at the end. I meant to close out with the endgame question, but Runic Ward is a second life. What made you consider adding this? And was it because of players like me? I won't be mad if that's the case.
The actual reason is because we were thinking like, what would the Kalgurans, like what could a different Kalguran magic system look like? Like what's something that just works completely differently to how, you know, the magic that you would have in Rayclast. And so then we kind of had this like, you know, spending your life as energy kind of idea that we had, but we didn't want to actually go to that because actually spending your normal life pool would probably be a bit of a downside. So like, okay, what if we give you extra life and then let you spend that life? And then that's kind of where the way of using. And then there was something called Ward in POE 1, and so we just like ripped that name, and then we're like, okay, what if it meant this completely different thing in POE 2? That could work this way.
Jonathan, I'm just going through my questions again, and good answer. I was listening, I promise. But in addition to that, the market price checker thing with alt, like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. That was the biggest challenge in Endgame. I would just put stuff in the store and hope for the best and then figure that whole thing out. How did you land on that? Was that like a community collaboration thing?
So there are community tools that do that kind of thing as like a sort of like a third-party add-on, which isn't something we really like, you know, love that people do, but we're kind of at some point we're kind of like, if everyone feels like they need to run this add-on, we probably need to do something ourselves in the game client that means that they don't have to do that anymore. And so, you know, part of it is that, but yeah, also just like, you know, making sure that there's you know, like the tools people want are there, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, good stuff. I'm really excited about this expansion. Well, I had no idea. I had to like move a flight and stuff to make sure that I made it here, and I am so glad I did, because once I saw the stream, I was very hyped. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
No problem. You too. All right. See you later.
Oh, what happened?
And of course, as is tradition, here are the roundtable questions.
One question I saw in there was, this is more produced than last time. Did you get a new crew on these assets for the stream? So there was one asset that we did that was different, which was we got, we outsourced like a thing to do that CG of the fortress rising out of the ground. But everything else was just produced the same way that we normally produce it. So yeah, we thought it'd be pretty cool. Touch to the trailer, and it sort of communicates something in game as well when the fortress comes out of the ground, because that would have been something a little bit hard to really do nicely in the game setting. The next question someone said was some of these new enemies inspired by the mantis shrimp? I actually had someone else tell me that it looked like a prawn the other day, so apparently so. How can you tell putting rings on the weird hand made it happy? I guess you'll just have to experiment with that yourself. But yeah, you'll find out. Is the Temple of Atzeri getting nerfed? So yeah, it absolutely is. The way it's getting nerfed is not like necessarily in like a just like obvious numeric way, but the main problem that we had was that in the last league there were people using a thing called the snake strategy.
There you go,
and
Raz.
it was something that we did actually have a fix for, but we didn't want to deploy it because it would kind of be considered to be a mid-league nerf. But effectively, as long as we can prevent that kind of unusual situation called the snake strategy, then it'll mean that the temple is effectively nerfed due to that. So yeah, for mostly the temple's going in as it was. But there's like a few new a few new reward rooms and things like that, but yeah, you certainly won't be able to get the same amount of items that you were getting in the last league due to that thing getting nerfed. Next question was, will Liquid Emotions also reroll other mods on the item? Yes, they do. So they work like Greater Essences, which basically remove a mod, like reroll one mod into the new mod that you're using. And did I see a bear illusion? You did. So basically, that's one of the Spirit Walker ascendancy points, is to get the bear that you can use to fight your enemies. Next question is, do you have anything planned to enhance visual clarity in the late in-game maps? A lot of players find it's easy to die to random effect they couldn't foresee. That's just one of those things that we don't have like a sort of grand rework of that particularly, but it's just one of those things that we slowly improve over time as we get reports about individual things and try to improve them. So there's not like some giant system there, but yeah, it's just like one of those things that you'd expect. Maybe a few effects change just as the ones that get reported and so on. The next question is, can we have the in-game price checking and tree planner in POE 1, pretty please? So it's almost certainly, if it's successful in POE 2, then we'll want to do that in POE 1. These are some pretty good features. I'm really hoping that the build planner is going to do really well as well, and that the community kind of like embraces that format and kind of makes something pretty cool with it. So I think it should be. It should be pretty interesting to see how that goes. And we've already reached out to some community sites and sort of talked to them about the build planner and how to use the format and so on. So I'm hoping that even on release day we might get some of the support for that stuff. You might be on release of 050, you might be able to already download some builds in that format as well and follow them. Next question is, how do you plan to shine the meta or shine a light on classes that don't tend to be played as often, like the Acolyte and the Chronomancer? So we always have a bunch of balance changes, but we're kind of not. Normally what would happen is we'd actually give the patch notes on the same day as the live stream, but because the distance between the live stream and the release is a little bit longer than usual, the patch notes will be still 1 week beforehand, but that's in 2 weeks from now. So we haven't talked yet about all the balance changes coming, but I can assure you that there's definitely a bunch. The Chronomancer in particular is getting a reasonable upgrade, I believe. I'm not actually the person who mostly does the balance for the ascendancy classes, but I definitely know that the Chronomancer in particular has received some upgrades, and I think some node functionality changes as well. Yeah, we always look at that stuff and we always try to work on it. Why does the early Crow boss like bells so much? Well, I mean, I guess you'll just have to go and ask him. But while the delay is very much apparent with a number of reworks, additions, and changes that are in the update, what made you guys rework all the in-game encounters instead of just doing them bit by bit? So the answer to that one basically is that we originally planned to do. Okay, well, let me start that answer again. Actually, so basically, we weren't really happy with how the end game was in Path of Exile 2 from early access. There were kind of some pretty obvious problems with it. Especially in the way with, effectively nothing being, you get to endgame, you just didn't really know what to do, because there was no real tutorialization or anything really telling you what to go out and find. And so effectively our initial goal there with the endgame stuff to start with was kind of two things. One of them is we want to make sure the new player experience is that you get to endgame, there's stuff to do, there's things to find there, that what's out there. The other thing was we want to make sure that the start of the in-game atlas had a fixed kind of layout so that you could kind of get an idea of no matter which direction you go, you're always going to find something interesting. And sort of make it feel more like an actual real world. Now we could probably in retrospect have done only some of the leagues, but it sort of felt at the time when we were scoping this out that it was kind of all or nothing. We wanted to be able to say confidently, we've changed the way the end game works, all the leagues are different, it's sort of like a very much a qualitative overhaul, and doing one league at a time just didn't feel really viable. Now, as I said, in retrospect, maybe we could have taken the approach of doing only a few at a time, but, we just decided, we want to do it all. And I guess there is one other point to make that I didn't make when in the live stream now that I think about it, because we cut off the it was supposed to be right at the end, and we cut off the end part with the micro stuff in it, which is that this is actually intended to be the final update to early access before we do 1.0. So 050 is supposed to be the one that sort of fixes the end game, and like if the players agree that the end game is indeed way better, which I believe that they will, then that means that we've sort of checked off our entire list of what we need to achieve before we can move out of early access and into full release. And so our intention is to go into full release after ExileCon this year. Now, as I said, we have to obviously make sure that the players agree. But that's sort of the intention. So now that, assuming that the in-game expansion is successful, we've kind of we've achieved those objectives. So the next one said,
Shirativi. I love how I butcher names. I wonder, are we still forced to play with zero portals? Sorry. I forget how, but that's not a thing anymore. You actually will have a choice to kind of manipulate. Well, manipulate's a bad word. To choose. So that's already been addressed, if I'm not mistaken. There's no more zero portals. Yes, there are limited portals. Don't quote me. Oh my God. I lost what I was going to say, but basically you are going to be able to kind of choose, pick your poison. If I'm not mistaken, and guys, please jump in if I'm misremembering here. But there are options. Again, I don't know the way it is, the way it's done, but you can choose, okay, I only want one portal. I'm just picking a number. So the rewards will have a double drop, or you have more portals, but then you're not getting more rewards kind of idea. Okay. So you will have some control with that in a way, if that makes any sense.
You said full allocation of the Atlas tree. Does it also apply to separate trees from the main one like Breach? Yes, it does. So all the trees you get all points on. It actually changes quite a bit the kind of stuff that we can put in the tree. It's sort of unbound our hands quite a lot, so there's a lot more interesting abilities there. Next thing is, will all in-game content be having their own hubs? Yeah, so basically, because of the fact that they've all kind of got like physical locations and they're all like physically on the tree with physical Atlas mechanics, it means that, they all need hubs, they all need places to go. And I think it actually makes quite a difference to have some sort of center of league activity there.
So good.
The next question is, will full release contain all the classes and weapons? So it won't, unfortunately, contain all of them. It will have more than what we have now. But we don't think we need all 12 classes for release. That is quite a lot. So we might be missing a couple classes for release. All of them. It will have more than what we have now. But we don't think sort of league activity there. The next question is, will full release contain all the classes and weapons?
Will full release have all the classes and weapons? Will full release have all the classes and full weapons?
So it won't, unfortunately, contain all of them. It will have more than what we have now.
Confirmed. We're going to get a new class before 1.0. Am I wrong? New class. We're going to get one before 1.0.
But we don't think we need all 12 classes for release. That is quite a lot. So we might be missing a couple when we get to release, I would say. But
a couple. There's a total of 12. We have 8. That means we're getting 2 classes before 1.0. Confirmed! Oh my God. Sorry, lack of sleep.
The main thing that the full release needs to have, of course, is like all the systems are working well. Everyone agrees that they're fun and they can play them long term.
Hey, Nex. No, you're not. This is the last league before 1.0 launch. Correct. By the way, how you doing, Nex? Hello. Yes, you are correct. But Jonathan also did say that they're going to do like a 5.1, a 5.2, use it for balancing, use it for dotting the I's, crossing the T's. This is going to be 6 months after all. They want to flesh out, make any adjustments to the end game. And guess what? It would also be a good opportunity to 5.3, new class. Yeah, that won't be class release though. That's your opinion, and I have my opinion. Let me replay the question, and you tell me how you interpret it.
So all the trees you get all points on. Yeah, like it actually changes quite a bit the kind of stuff that we can put in the tree. It's sort of unbound to be having their own hubs. Yeah, so basically, quite a bit. You said follow location of the Atlas tree. Does it also apply to separate trees? We've kind of we've achieved those objectives. The next one said, you said follow location of the Atlas tree. Does it also apply to separate?
What the fuck?
Great. And so our intention is to go into full release after ExileCon this, and our aim is indeed way better, which I believe that they will.
What did
then
I
that
do?
means that we've sort of checked off our entire list of what we need to achieve before we can move out of early access and into full release. And so our intention is to go into full release after ExileCon this year. Now, as I said, we have that's sort of the intention. We've kind of we've achieved those objectives.
Sorry, guys, I'm trying to find the question.
The next one said, you said follow location of the Atlas tree. It's sort of unbound our hands quite a lot, so there's a lot more in there. So basically, because of the fact that they've all kind of got like physical locations, places to go, and release contain all the classes and weapons, center of league activity there.
Okay.
The next question is, will full release contain all the classes and weapons?
Will full release contain all the class and weapons?
So it won't, unfortunately, contain all of them. It will have more than what we have now.
How do you interpret that? Hey, Jack, what's your interest in your starter build, Sammy? Or are you still... I'm undecided, Jack. How you doing, bro? Undecided. I honestly don't mind playing same league with refreshed economy twice. Yeah, I'm with you. I've been saying this since the live reveal. I know a lot of people don't like the big massive timeline 0.5 to 1.0 six months plus, but take your time, get what you need to get fixed before you go 1.0. Like, get it right. Yeah, full release, meaning 1.0 will not have all the classes and weapons, but will have more than what 0.5 will have. Okay. Okay. We're playing semantics. I'm over the question.
We don't think we need all 12 classes for release. That is quite a lot, so we might be missing a couple when we get to release, I would say. But the main thing that the full release needs to have, of course, is like all the systems are working well, everyone agrees that they're fun and they can play them long term, and we need to finish the campaign, right? That we need Acts 5 and 6 in there. So those are kind of like the two mandatory things that we need to have happen. In 1.0 there obviously will be quite a lot of content, but it is going to mainly be about the campaign and making sure that all that stuff is is all finalized. There'll definitely be more content. We just don't necessarily need to have all of the classes, I think. Next question is, a precursor tablet still a thing for extra juice? Absolutely. That's something that we still have all of those sort of the in-game systems around that are still there. But if you're like a new player, it's good to engage with them. You don't have to engage with them necessarily. You don't have to juice that stuff. But to sort of finish the in-game. If you look at it as like sort of the in-game storylines, but you absolutely should be if you're like a player who wants all the extra items and stuff. Next question is, do you have anything planned for the quitting point where some players' attention falls off? I usually get to around level 92 before death penalty gets too punishing. So I want to actually talk about this a bit more broadly, because this is actually something that was another important goal we had for the end game, which was that there wasn't...
Which classes are missing? We're missing 4, Aaron. We're missing the Shadow, Marauder, Duelist, and Templar.
and there wasn't an obvious quitting point in the in-game before for players who, like basically were done. And in POE 1, this was actually something that was quite different. So in POE 1, there are a lot of players, like a huge amount of players,
no major
like in-game
updates,
players as well, who just do Atlas completion, and maybe they'll do like 1 or 2 leagues, like Pinnacle bosses or so on, and then they're kind of just done. And in POE 2, we actually didn't really have anything to indicate to you, okay, like you've actually finished... you've finished the end game. You've done all the, you've done the content. Like, there's obviously always going to be an infinite Atlas to farm. But we actually specifically wanted this time to be like, okay, like here is when you can say that you have completed, the end game storylines. Like, we've got all those progress bars on the side. Like, if you do all of those, that's the end game done. So that means that you don't necessarily have to, like one of the things we even noticed is that on Steam, you get the classic thing of people being like, 400 hours played, game is terrible, like that kind of thing will happen in Steam reviews. And the reason why that happens is because they're playing the Infinite Atlas, and eventually a game will get boring. So it's actually good to have a stepping off point where you can say, okay, like here is the point where where you can consider yourself to be done with the end game if you want, right? And sure, you could farm some more, but there's a very obvious ending, and that's something that I felt, as I said, that I felt like we lacked, and now I believe that in 050 we do have it. And a lot of players, I suspect, will they might just do like the main the fortress and maybe like a couple of other leagues, and then consider that to be done. But even if you do more than that, if you want to do all of the leagues, like you fill all the progress bars, and then you're like, okay, I am done now. I've killed every boss. I know everything that there was to do is there. If I want to do more now, all I'm doing is just like finding extra, like there might be extra rewards and uniques and stuff like that to do. But you did get to that quitting point, and so it's a good time to leave, and then just come back next cycle where we introduce more content. So I think that.
You know what? Next raises a very good point that maybe I was blinded. But so Next said full release means 1.0, which is mid to late November after ExileCon. And you know what? Next, you just made me think that the one thing, so Jonathan said 1.0 is happening in 2026. So a lot of us are assuming ExileCon is November 7th, so December 1.0, right? That's kind of been pretty popular amongst the content creators and in the community, right? So I've kind of gone along with it, and I've agreed with it, but it makes me think that there's a little bit of a crux there, and that is, if they're going to release 1.0 in December, okay, there's an issue of they only have like a week, so they'd have to do it real early December, because remember, we ran into this problem last December when they did an update, and then they went on holidays and nothing. And I think that might have been, was that the temple problem? Might have been the temple problem. Nothing happened till January. So what I'm getting at is, do you really release in December knowing that you'll only have a week and a half, 2 weeks of, okay, this is fucked up, this is wrong, we got to fix it, and then everybody goes on holidays? Or do you do it in the third week or the last week of November, giving you more weeks to fix issues before the holidays in the third week of December? So Nexus comment made me think of that. Like, you know what? I might have to rethink this. It makes more sense that they announce 1.0 on November 7th or 8th at ExileCon, that it's going to launch the third week of November, the fourth week of November, because it gives them more of a buffer to fix stuff. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm going to shoot my own theory right in the kneecaps. When's GTA 6 coming? It's probably going to get delayed though, isn't it? What version are they on? GTA 6, right? Release date November 19th. Okay, so there goes November 19th. That's not happening. Okay, when's November 19th? What day of the week is that? That is a Thursday. That's the third week in November. Do you do November 26th? A week after? Yeah, GTA 6 right now is November 19th, release date. Because they're off almost all of December. No, it's the last 2 weeks where people are starting to leave and they're gone, and you know. Sweet, you figured out how to change your YouTube handle. Anyway, something I'm going to consider. But I forgot about GTA 6. So the third week is not happening. Maybe they do it the week before. November 7th is what? That's the weekend, right? Yeah, November 7th. So Saturday, Sunday, 7th and 8th is ExileCon. Would they do it November? No, they can't do it the 20th because the 19th is Would they do it the week before? Nah. The 13th. No, that's too soon. Anyway, I digress.
It was a very important goal for the new in-game stuff as well. Does the update take place after 3 weeks? Because Elder Maddox says he'll observe winter from the mountains for 3 weeks. I guess maybe it does. I don't know. It's a bit of a deep lore question that I don't know if I am fully able to answer. So very good. So it looks like we've run out of questions in chat. So thank you very much. Hopefully you enjoyed the presentation. It was great having you guys. Great having you guys here. So yeah, thank you very much.
And a big thank you to the members. You can support at patreon.com/savestate.
Thank you, Destin. Great video. Awesome. Always love hearing insight. Would they sweet? Would they drop a bomb and release it right after presentation or something? You can play 1.0 starting right now. Oh my God, that's like a Blizzard thing. Purchase this pack and you can play right now. I don't know, sweet. First of all, think about it logistically, okay? Everyone's in ExileCon. All the people at ExileCon spent a lot of money to get there. Those that didn't get invited. And you'd have a mass exodus of people leaving the event because they're going to go play the game over attending ExileCon. So I don't think they're going to do that that weekend. No, they were pretty clear it would be at least a week. No, all he said was it's going to be after ExileCon. Wait, how popular is ExileCon compared to a BlizzCon? Similar in size or hype? I would not know. I don't think it's as big as BlizzCon. I don't think so, but I'm guessing. Yeah. I don't know. Don't know. Anyway, boys, those were some good videos. How long is this one? Oh my God, it's an hour. No, we're not going to watch that. I did want to watch Chris Wilson had a chat with Jonathan Rogers. For those of you that don't know, Chris Wilson, ex-GGG director, gaming director, whatever his title was. Everybody should know Chris. He now has a YouTube channel, and he's been his videos are so good. He interviews a lot of great people, and his latest one, he was talking to Jonathan about POE 2. So maybe I'll save that for the next stream. And anyway, we'll see. But that's it. Some more insight into 0.5. Looks like everyone's hyped. It's gonna be a long 3 weeks. 21 more days. 21 more days. Anyway, all right, everybody. Apologies again. Late stream. One of my studio lights. If you watched my video that I dropped today, you know I only had one studio light. One of them burnt out. I didn't get the light till late. Hence why amongst other things. Anyway, yeah. that'll do it for me. I wanted to watch those 3 videos. If I can find some more videos, we're going to continue to go down this road, educate ourselves more and more on that. Unfortunately, we're going to not get the patch notes until a week before 0.5 on May 29th. So that's really when we're going to get, be able to sink our teeth into really what's going on. I am going to spend time. I'm going to be making my own build. So we're going to start going down that road as well, because I'm going to need everyone's help, because I don't want it to be a clusterfuck. This is an important league. There's going to be a lot of stuff, and the last thing I want to do is create a dud of a build. So I'm going to be focusing in on that. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you're on Twitch, hit the follow button. I would appreciate it. This way you get alerted when I'm streaming. If you're on YouTube, sub to my channel. And whether you're on Twitch or YouTube, I have a YouTube channel, Samy Caps. Go check out my content. Please hit the subscription button. It's the best way to support me. And yeah, I stream just about every evening, not this late. Although with 0.5, I'm going to assume that we're going to be going into the late evenings on a very consistent basis if this 0.5 pans out to be anywhere near what everyone's expecting. So anyway, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And have yourselves a good evening. And regardless of what game you're playing, happy hunting. Hope you get all the loot and drops that you need. Keep on grinding. Don't give up. All right. You've been to both, and BlizzCon seemed bigger, but not by a lot. Really, Torchaff? I would have guessed that BlizzCon was a lot bigger. Wow. I think it's because BlizzCon is yearly and ExileCon is not. So when there is an ExileCon, people real. Wow. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. ExileCon is like 1,500 to 2,000. BlizzCon is like 40,000. Okay. Mixed reviews there. Okay. I think BlizzCon is bigger. Just purely, it's Blizzard. Wow. It's not just D4. It's all their games, you know, Overwatch. Wow. You know, ExileCon is one game. Well, now it's 2 games, but you know what I mean. Anyway, I digress. Good night, everybody. God bless. Peace out. Don't be a stranger. Make sure you come back. We'd love to have you. All right. Peace, everybody. Good night.